All right, welcome to the second video where we talk about the actual costs of the survivor benefit plan, not just on that monthly paycheck. Again, we need to think about the entire value of everything going on. So what's the value of SBP in any given year? But what's the cost over the full term of the program if nothing actually happens to you, or if you live until life expectancy and beyond? And more importantly, as we're looking through these numbers, once you consider the probability, again, that you don't die early, which we'll look at in another video, but also what would happen if, for whatever reason, your spouse passed away first and you weren't able to get any of that money back. So that's what's important to look at the full cost of the program. Either way, in that case, you wouldn't even have a chance to leave it to a different beneficiary. And so the biggest cost in here really isn't the cost of the SBP, it's the opportunity cost of not having been able to use those same assets and put it into a vehicle that on the private marketplace allows you to get growth so you can get some return on an investment even if you don't die. With the new technology available on the free marketplace, you can do that and a lot more with money that otherwise you would have just been paying back to the government. The whole point is to give you a lot more flexibility and control. It's your money after all. You are the asset. You are the individual. And it's your opportunity cost we're talking about. What if we could take that same amount of money and put it in a vehicle on the private marketplace that not only replaced the SBP, but actually protected the full value of your pension without any additional investment requirement and gave you an opportunity to get some return on investment while you're still alive? Wouldn't that be nice? Most military spouses tell us rather than getting paid 55% of the pension on a monthly basis and still being taxable, it's really not enough. They'd rather get a lump sum death benefit payment that comes tax-free. So if we can get more protection at less cost and allow you to have equity in this program, so you can actually use your money and maximize the amount of money in your pension and pull it out at any time for any reason, and when you pull it out, it's all available to you tax-free. So if we're on the military compensation website, same place where we go to the military retirement calculator like we did in the last video, think they'd have some stuff on here about the SBP. And they do. Next slide over, Survivor Benefit Program. And when you click around here, there's information. Yay, there's lots of information out there on this stuff, and it's, government speak. But where's the calculator? It's nowhere to be found, and so most people don't actually find the calculators. They're required to put them out by the Department of the Actuary, yet it's not easily accessible. You have to know to search for that. So if we actually go to their website, this is the Office of the Actuary, you can get access to the calculators they put together every single year based on the actuary tables and the new numbers. And the idea is to predict the benefit may or may not look like for you. We don't typically do this in the military because most times benefits don't have costs involved to them. So usually people look at, well, what's my SBP premium going to be? Well, I don't know why we need a calculator for that, but let's take a look at it. It's just 55% of the pension. So if we put that same scenario in for Lieutenant Colonel, that's $65K roughly. That's how much he's making every month. So that's what his premium is going to be, and that's what we're thinking about. That's what most folks are thinking about when they come to us and say, well, if I was putting $352 away every month, what could I do better and different? That's one approach, but it's actually a very limited approach. It doesn't really change or solve the problem, because what we really need to do is look at this other calculator. You wouldn't think to look at the calculator you actually need to look at because they don't make it very clear, but this is the one that tells you the real information. So we pull up this calculator, make sure you read the disclaimer from the chief of the actuary, because they talk about how they make various assumptions that you can even change under the retiree assumptions tabs, but putting things like the tax bracket in here, different inflation rate, the interest rate you may or may not get, and that all changes the numbers. And that's why these numbers aren't going to be exactly as they'd be on the government retirement calculator website. But we enter in that same information, and now we can see this projected out in 5-year increments, really, of what happens. So on this tab, now we see the real information. And now things look a little bit more similar to the other calculator. We can start to understand, what is the value of the SBP, but more specifically, which you can see right here. This is the benefit the spouse would get if something happened, and that's what the value of it is. And remember, we noticed that the value of the full pension closer to double this amount, about $1.8 million, right? So it's nice to have a value of $900,000, but this is how you get access to it. Okay? You can't take a bigger amount if you need it or if you want to. But again, most of the times, like talking about, again, our philosophy here is this isn't just about death. This is about the income producing potential of the life. And so what's the opportunity cost if, as probability states, you don't die early? Well, that's what this number is. That's the accumulated cost over a number of years. And notice it changes. After the 30th year, you don't have to pay anymore. So essentially, this Army Lieutenant Colonel is going to be committing about $150,000 to the SBP with no guarantee on any return on investment whatsoever. So that's the opportunity cost. What if we could have repositioned those assets to actually get some sort of growth? Well, even a 6% growth. So if we come over to the investor.gov site, one way to look at this is the opportunity cost is to put that monthly SBP payment in and see what would happen over 30 years if you'd have gotten some growth on it. Just look at it, 6%, nothing crazy. All right, so conservative estimates could have had a future value of $330,000. So that's a $500,000 difference. Because when we look at this $150,000 cost, if we can get growth, also offer double the death protection, and doesn't that sound more attractive? Wouldn't you rather have a larger amount available to you 30 years from now than a significant portion that might be just sunken cost? All right. I want to show you one other quick thing before we end this video that you should probably look for on the Department of the Actuary calculator page, and that's the SBP probability. This one's kind of eye-opening because it's telling us what's the probability you're going to get any benefit whatsoever. What this means is, what's the probability of you getting any money back at all? And in my mind, given that these are taxpayer-funded benefits that you served for, anything less than 100% is unacceptable. And shockingly, that's not only not the case, it's a lot less probable than you'd imagine. So we pull up the calculator. It's pretty simple. Just put in you and your spouse's birth dates and get all this stuff right. We'll see. There's less than a 75% chance that the spouse would even get 1 month of benefit. When does that happen? A month from now? Years from now? Decades from now? Even if we get 5 years of payment, which would essentially probably get you your money back, but that means you're not around to see it, still close to 50%. I don't like those odds. Would you jump out of an airplane if only 55% of the time your parachute was going to open? I don't think so. And the bottom line is, it doesn't even matter if the spouse is a lot younger. So let's say they're 10 years younger. What's it look like now? Okay, proves it a little bit. It's never going to hit 100%. The spouse is older, 10 years older. Or heck, actually 5. The spouse is older, like just 5 years older. It drops significantly. In the next video, we're going to talk about how do we look at our personal assets and our personal money and think about redirecting it.